Welcome back to Escapement and Watch. Falling Titan here. Today we're comparing these two gems, Kavar Jewelers, lending them into the channel, so thank you. And if you want to buy these two, or one of them, email me in the description and I'll give you a discount code. Now let's check them out. SLA021 versus SPB187. What do you guys think of these two stunners? Now the case shape. These watches are reminiscent of the original MARINEMASTER 300 SBDX001 JDM release, but that model takes its inspiration from the 1967 6215. So there is a little bit of history there, but it is relatively modern in design, and it is an iconic shape, and it's a stunner. Broad shoulders, brushing on top of the lugs, and then a beautiful brushing in between the high polished top and the cushion case at the bottom. This is a normal case back, while the 300 has a monoblock case back. And it is so hermetically sealed that it doesn't need a helium escape valve anywhere, even though it can be used in saturation diving. So amazing. I think this can do more than 300, and Seiko is underrating it. I think this can handle 400 even. Now let's check out the movement. This one, the 300, has the 8L35, 50 hours of power reserve, 26 joules, 28.8 VPH. That is the same vibrations per hour as Rolex watches, automatic hack hand wind, and of course, this has no stamped parts. It uses MEMS technology to make the tiny parts, and all the other parts of the movement are forged or milled. So high quality parts. This movement will last a lifetime and then some. With proper maintenance, it's one you could pass down and feel pride. Now, the reduced has the 6R35A, which has a longer power reserve, has 70 hours instead of the 50 of the 8L. Okay, but this one does have stamped parts, and some people might, instead of servicing it, just throw it away and get a new movement. It might be cheaper depending on what your servicing costs are, mailing costs, etc. 24 joules, 21.6 VPH, a lower beat, a jagged second-hand sweep, automatic hack hand winding. So big difference in the quality of the movement parts, but both can be deadly accurate. Of course, the 8L has much better positional variance. It's going to keep the same rate, and it's going to keep the same rate longer. So let's say this is doing 1 second a day. It's going to keep 1 second a day for the next 5 years in all positions. If this is doing 0 seconds a day, it might keep that 0 seconds a day for 1 year, but it might be very different in different positions, and it might need regulating again and then again. Who knows? And the positional variance could be up to 20 seconds. It could be doing 0 seconds dial up, 12 down. It could be doing plus 25. I've seen that before. So big difference in quality of the movements, but in your day-to-day life, you might not notice the difference depending how strict you are or OCD with your timing. But if you're that strict, you might as well get a quartz. Am I right? All right, now the measurements. The 300 has a 44 millimeter diameter case, while the reduced has a 42 millimeter case, 2 millimeters less. The thickness, 14.6 on the 300 and 12.6 on the reduced, another 2 millimeter difference. Now the lug to lug, the most important, 50.2 on the MM200 and 48.8 on the reduced, a 1.4 millimeter difference. Now, the secret measurement, what we like to call, it's actually the bezel measurement, what your eye sees the watch as, what it perceives the size of the watch as being. The MARINEMASTER 300, 42.3, while the reduced, 40.2. Basically a 2 millimeter difference again. Now the crown size of the 300, 7, and then the reduced, 6.5. Both very nice sizes. Now the bracelet of the 300 is very well polished and brushed. It has high polish in the mid links. Very nice. It's all solid end links and solid links and all milled. And it has a special trick. You pull back and the ratcheting function works. This is for dive extensions. This is your dive extension and it can be used underwater, so it's a good design because it's still locked with the double pushers. So very smart design. There you can see, let me get the tags out of the way, the monoblock case and the solid end links, solid links. Pin and collar system, the most secure bracelet mechanism. So very nice bracelet. All right, might not look the greatest with that bump there, but that's where the ratcheting dive extension comes out. So, you know, it's an engineering thing. Takes up a lot of space. Now the MM200, pins and collars as well, but flat oysters. And instead of the polish being on the edges of that mid link, it's on the top and bottom of that mid link. So opposite. Very nice. All solid, milled, everything the same, but the dive extension is the classic old one that you just flip open here. And that's it. Cannot be used underwater. There's the case back. It's a normal screw down case back. All right, and there you can see the solid end links. Very well done. Excellent bracelet. But this one, a bit better. Now the bezel insert. This one's stainless steel, coated with black titanium carbon. And I believe there's another coating on top to give it that gloss. But it is a beautiful insert, and of course, the coin edge stainless steel bezel looks amazing. The bezel on the MM300 has bigger teeth, more thicker, a lot more grip. And this one has a ceramic insert and it's filled with lume from 12 pip all the way down to the 20 marker. And everything lines up. The clicking and the feel of this, better than this. This one's still great, the MM200 reduced, but the 300, it feels amazing. I would equate it to a Rolex Submariner feel. Very similar. It's that good. Big words, but trust me, it's really close. So excellent bezel action here. Now the sapphire crystal is flat with AR coating and it's a stunner. Beautiful. Both of them have the same anti-reflective coating, but the 200 has a bevel on that sapphire at the very edge. I'm trying to show it to you guys there. All right, here's the bevel. Very nice. Now the dial and hands. These hands are MARINEMASTER 300 inspired on the reduced. They're trimmed down, they're slimmed down, and they're half brushed, half polished. Very nice design. Stoplight second hand, awesome. But here's the original, the real MARINEMASTER hands. While the reduced are beautiful and new, these ones are just special. They are well done. The brushing on them, immaculate. The corners, the edges, the high polish edges, perfect. These hands are very expensive. I tried to buy them once for a mod. They're over $200 just for the hands. And they're filled with lume to the nines. Unbelievable hands. If I like both of them equally, but if I had to choose, I would always take the real MM300 hands. They're just phenomenal. Now the price. Let's talk about the price. The MM300 is $2,800 USD, while the reduced is $1,200 USD. So that's a $1,600 difference between these two watches. So you could buy the new SPB187 and the new SPB185, the black dial, with the non-coated stainless steel insert and still have about $400 left over in your pocket to buy amazing straps. So definitely hard to recommend the MM300 when the price difference is so vast. What do you guys think? But I'm gonna say this, if it was up to me and it was my money, I would take the 300 any day over the 200. It just feels more special. Why? Because of course it's got that hand assembled movement in Japan by one watchmaker. That's special. The dial has applied indices, not pressed indices like the reduced, and they're hand filled, and that's amazing. So handmade movement, hand applied indices, hand Zaratsu polish. There's a human touch to this watch that doesn't exist on the reduced, which is mass produced. Of course, these are still mass produced, but this is Seiko slowing down, taking their time, and doing it right. So that amount of skill needed costs money. You're getting a little bit of mastery in watchmaking in this watch, and you're getting it from a giant company. You're getting it from Seiko. They make 60,000 watches every 5 hours, but then when they make a special watch, they slow down and they take their time. And I can tell, and you can feel it, and it just feels like a higher quality piece, and it feels special. It's not handmade like Dornbluth & Sons from start to finish. We would all love a handmade watch from start to finish, but that's not what Seiko does. They're too big for that. You'd have to go to a small company like Dornbluth to get that kind of personalization. But it's nice that a giant company with so much history gives you a little bit of watchmaking heritage and mastery in this watch. So you got to pay for that. Some of you might not think that's important, and that's fine. You can live the rest of your life completely happy with the MM200, completely machine made. Now there's going to be a little bit more dust under the crystal, and some of you are going to get misaligned hands. That's just part of the world of watchmaking when you make 60,000 of them in 5 hours. Okay, so it's just a factor. Now you're not going to get misaligned hands on this, and very little dust in this. I've seen more dust in a $3,000 to $4,000 Swiss watch than in this thing. This thing basically has 0. This has like 5 or 6 specs, which is still impressive. Seiko mass produces impressively. Remember, making 60,000 watches every 5 hours, I'm surprised they don't have way more complaints than they do. It's actually a small miracle. All right? Now let's compare it with, I don't have an SKX on me, and it doesn't make sense to compare it with this. So we're just comparing these two watches, so we're not gonna do any comparisons. Not today. Let's check out the weight, guys. The reduced is 187 grams. Now the 300. They're both stainless steel cases, guys. This is not titanium. 220. So about 221. Oh, back to 220. All right, so about 30 grams heavier. Now the MARINEMASTER 300, although it's big, it wears like a boss. You just feel like a king wearing it. It's amazing. This watch puts a smile on your face, 100%. Oh man, it's a stunner, 100% a stunner. And you get the signed crown with the Prospex X. Beautiful. God, this thing is amazing. Now the MARINEMASTER 200 reduced, let's check it out on the wrist. So basically 2 millimeters down on almost every dimension. And gonna wear a lot nicer on my 6.5 inch wrist. Basically perfect. Not as much wrist presence as the 300, of course, but still looks great. A little bit more classy. Man, it looks amazing. This watch is beautiful. I still prefer this, even though it's a bit too big for me, but just love it so much. This thing is amazing. I'm a big fan of the MARINEMASTER 300, but due to budget reasons, I would buy the 200, and it does fit me a little bit better. But if money were no option, this one all day long for me. Let's check it out on the Timegrapher. All right, let's check out the 8L35. Now Seiko is super secretive about their lift angle for the 8L. Any high-end Seiko movement, even if you ask them the question, they'll ignore and they will deflect. So we're just gonna guess the standard 52 on the 8L. All right, and we're getting 8 seconds a day, 300 amplitude, very strong, and 0.1 milliseconds in beat error. Now, remember, this is gonna stay 8 seconds in almost all positions, on the wrist, all day, for a very long time, because the movement is so high quality. Of course, it's not regulated. Seiko does not regulate these quite on purpose, because they want you to upgrade to a Grand Seiko. It's a business model, and it's a bad move, in my opinion, from Seiko. Any watch that's this expensive, they should regulate it. Hopefully they change their policies in 2021. But at 8 seconds a day, well, now it dipped down to 7, and ultra consistent. It's all right. It's all right. For this price, it's all right. Now let's check out the 6R35. All right, the MARINEMASTER reduced. We're gonna check it out now. We know the angle on this one. Seiko, not super secretive about this one. So this one will probably outperform this one. It's always like that. Yep. So 3 seconds a day, amazing. 287 amplitude and 0.1 milliseconds in beat error. Little bit of snowflakes, 21.6 VPH, you can hear the low beat. But it is a +4 now, so 3, 3, 4. So about 4 seconds better than the high-end movement. So it is a lower sweep. You're not getting the smooth sweep, the 28.8, like the Rolex and the MARINEMASTER has, but it's going to be more reliable and durable with that lower sweep as well. So there is more positives to the MARINEMASTER 200 reduced. Oh, it just jumped to +7. So this movement, because it is a low-end Seiko movement, I guess it used to be mid-tier, but nowadays the 4R, I guess, is the low end, and the 6R is a bit higher. We can say that it is maybe low end for Seiko. It's gonna vary. It's gonna vary a lot in positional variance and in how good it keeps this rate over time. So we'll see. I'm gonna own one of these soon, and it's a keeper for me. So I'm gonna tell you guys in a year how it's doing, and hopefully I am wrong. Now, 8 seconds a day. So we have 66666, and now 8. All right, so this thing has been all over the map. And if you notice, +10. Okay, and if you notice, the 300 was very consistent. The number it's at, it's basically at it for life in all positions. That's what I noticed with all the 8Ls. And yep. All right, so let's call this one +8. So they both have the same accuracy. Now let's check the Lume. Okay guys, the Lume is a time-lapsed video. Please enjoy. It is 25 minutes cut down to a couple seconds. And as you can see, the MARINEMASTER 300's Lume completely destroys the Seiko Lume. Remember, the MARINEMASTER 300's Lume is hand-filled deeply, while it feels like the MARINEMASTER Reduced 200 is printed on top of those weird, bumpy indices. Okay guys, if you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.